I'm Justin Grimes. I'm the oldest of the three siblings here at Grimes Farms. We're located here in Osborne, Missouri. It's the northwest part of the state.
And I'm Trent Grimes. I'm the middle child. We got a younger sister, so two of us and then a younger sister.
We've got a lot of variability on different farms that we farm, and a lot of different soil types, hillsides versus flats, rocky conditions versus heavy clay soils. Versatility is the number one when we go to look at a piece of equipment, is how can we adjust that tool to fit the farm that we're currently working. So in the fall, especially acres we know we're going to plant to early soybeans, we'll run it on an aggressive setting, turn a lot of dirt, cover them stalks. This machine will go into a stalk field where you're wanting to plant beans the next year. It will process those stalks in the spring and leave you a level enough pass, typically with a one-pass system. So I feel like you could save some fuel, but it's also a good rescue tool. If you make that pass, you're like, that doesn't look right. Make some adjustments, make another pass. Very rarely do we ever have to cover ground twice back to back to get what we're wanting. The big selling point to us is that chopper reel. That's something that not anybody else we've seen mounts it in that location, and that helps pin them corn stalks down. And when them clods come up off the front disc gangs, on the slow motion videos I've taken, you can just see them bat that clod down and it just shatters. And that's a huge selling point for us, is that chopper reel, where you can raise it up and down depending on how deep you're wanting your gangs to go and how aggressive that chopper reel works. It gives us a lot of flexibility. The previous tool that we had, it would plug up corn stalks and come off the front disc, and it would actually ball up the corn stalks in the middle, and it wouldn't flow through the back end of the tool, and then we'd end up with these big piles of corn stalks in the field that we'd have to go and level. So with this chopping reel, we found that it pins those corn stalks back down, lets the trash flow through the machine.
And then after that chopper reel, you come to the rear gang angles, which it's also adjustable 3 to 9 degrees. We typically run it the notch behind what the front gangs are, because this is more of your smooth and finishing gang angle here. So it'll run through these, and then behind the rear gang angle we have the double rolling basket option, and they pivot and swivel, so they contour to the ground, and there's also springs on it for going over terraces and stuff. It always keeps down pressure on it. We just find that it leaves a really good seed bed, even in marginal conditions. You know, you make a pass, and behind this, it's what you want usually. In the past, we actually had a separate tool that was just rolling baskets, and we liked the job that it did. So I figured if they could mount them to the actual machine itself, that'd be even better.
If you do need to air out a wet spot, this tool is very, very versatile on being able to work through a wet hole, air it out, go up on the ridge where it's nice and dry, and it'll give you a good seed bed either direction you pull it. We're in the carbon program. We are considered a minimum till through most of those companies. We're not a straight no-till, of course, but when we tell them and describe them how this tool incorporates seed, and that we're just scratching the surface, you know, we're sub-inch, inch and a half at most, we qualify for most of the company's minimum till requirements, and we're finding we get really good emergence on our cover crops in the early fall on the fields that we scratch it with the Insight. We would prefer to pull this tool 8.5, 9 at the maximum, but it seems to do a really good job for us at that 8.5. We typically will run a 9 degree on the front angle. It is adjustable 9 to 3, but in the fall we like to run a 9 to work in those corn stalks. We'll taper it back to 6 or a 3 depending on what your conditions are in the spring.
The spring, you know, right ahead of the planter, if we still need to do some smoothing up or, you know, smooth in some ditches, we can adjust the gang angles back to about 3 degrees and shallow it up so we're not quite so deep, and it leaves a perfect seed bed for the planters to roll through and get really good ground contact.